Hello, I'm Vani Murthy and I am an urban farmer. I live on the third floor of an apartment and I compost my kitchen waste and I grow my food. Most of the waste that we generate is bagged in a plastic cover. It could be a black bag or it could be a polythene bag. And this bag travels, and I'm going to talk to you about the story of where this bag actually goes and what it does to the environment. So most of the times we leave it outside our homes, and by the next morning the dogs have ripped it open and it is strewn all over the road. Another place where this bag ends is in some drains, and when it rains the drains get clogged. It's maybe because of these bags. Otherwise, these bags end up in the corner of our street where many people dump their garbage, and sometimes it gets burned and it creates air pollution. Another way the bag travels out of our homes is in the trucks. It goes out to the landfills, and landfills are a very contaminating place. There is also a bag that goes into the lakes. Once I was walking in the Sankey Tank. It is a lovely lake, and just above me a bag came trashing into the water, and somebody had just chucked this bag from the fence above. So it also ends up in water bodies, in rivers, in oceans, and everywhere it pollutes. And what really happens at the landfill? It is just a dumping yard. The city's waste gets collected and lorries go and dump the waste. It's all in mixed form, and there is the organic waste that comes out of a kitchen that starts to break down in anaerobic conditions, and methane gets released. And methane is one of the greenhouse gases that contribute to the global warming, and we are all seeing the climate change. We are all seeing such erratic climates around, and one of the reasons is this methane, which is 25 times worse than carbon dioxide. And in this landfill, I visited 10 years back, and I'll give you a sense of what it feels to be there in that muck. It is surrounded by villages, it's in the outskirts of a city, and it is mountains of garbage. It's just mountains of garbage. And there is a black liquid that runs off these landfills that enter our groundwater, and it seeps into the soil around. And most of the people in those villages are growing our food. When you pump water in their bore wells, you get a black liquid that shows how much of this dark fluid, which is highly toxic, entering the groundwater. So you can see that the landfill is a place where it pollutes the air, the water, and the soil that grows our food. And whatever we are throwing out is somewhere coming back to us in some form of the other. And it's extremely important for us to understand this before we take an action to say that we will contribute positively to the climate change. Now that we have seen all the problems that waste generates or waste creates to the environment and to the people on this planet, let us look at the solutions that we have. And every citizen on this planet becomes a part of the solution, because he's a generator of the waste. And once we recognize that the waste that we generate can be diverted away from these landfills or getting dumped anywhere and everywhere, recognize it as a great resource that can be recycled, it can be composted, and we completely take responsibility of the waste that we generate. So there are simple things that we can do as a daily practice. One, look at waste, make a waste audit in our homes and find out what is it that we are generating. Then we get to know there are so many things that need not be generated. So we first reduce the amount of waste. One of the ways of reducing is to refuse anything that is used once and discard it. They are the single-use disposables that become a culture right now. It's very convenient. So if we can just refuse these single-use disposables, we'll be generating less waste. And in spite of that, we still have waste. We look at different categories in which they can be aggregated. There is this dry waste, which is recyclable, that can be going to a recycling center. There is the wet waste that can be composted, and also there is one category of waste which is a reject waste, which needs to be actually given to the municipality to be treated. So you can see we have reduced it almost by 90%, because 60% of the waste that we generate comes from our kitchen. It is our wet compostable waste. Another 30% is dry recyclables. It is paper, plastic, metal and glass, and of course the reject is a very small portion, that is 10%. So if we can just reverse the entire waste management by reducing and understanding our waste and diverting it away from the landfill. Composting is a very exciting activity that all of us can do. I am an urbanite, and I don't have any excuse not to compost, because when I look into that black bag, I see resource, I see wealth, I see health, and I see livelihood, because all the three things that gets resolved when you actually look at the black bag as a fantastic resource that need not get lost. So we are saving resources, and we are also looking at creating something out of it, which gives livelihood to the people who work in the waste. And also by composting, we are putting back great organic matter back into soil, because today when you look at agriculture is completely modernized. There is so much of chemical fertilizers being used. There is the food that is grown is actually toxic. It is poison on our plate, because chemicals, fertilizers, pesticides, they all have become a part of our agriculture, which was not so in days where the agriculture was, best practices were all the natural methods of farming, where the organic matter was a big part of the soil. The soil was alive. It had microorganisms, it had earthworms, it had everything that gives a plant the nourishment, and the plant in turn gives nourishment to us. So that cycle has been broken because of the degradation of land. There is no life in land, and this organic matter that we generate at home can build that beautiful soil and grow our food. So we understand what is food, so when you compost, that's what you learn. You learn that you're creating this amazing magical living soil which goes into your soil to grow your food. And that how we also understand that we need to put healthy food into our body, not food that has so much chemicals, because today there are so many issues with health, cancer being one of the big things that happens. It's all because so much of chemicals are going into our body. So composting, growing our own food gives us a path to choose food that are healthy, with nutritious and sustainable. The food that's grown in a living soil is the sustainable way. It regenerates the land. The farming is natural, and there is not much of health issues when you eat such food. Composting is not a complicated process. Composting is as simple as you think it can be. It's just experiential learning. There is a learning curve. There are challenges which help you to learn better. It is about understanding the breakdown of organic matter. We just need to look at the process itself. It is about the rich peels, the vegetable peels, the fruit peels, things that come out of a kitchen that have to be used in a particular process or in particular conditions. And even if you have a small balcony, we all can compost. It's about the greens, which is high in nitrogen, and the browns, that is high in carbon. So it's your wet peels and the dry leaves that are all around. Putting them together adding a culture, putting in microbes to accelerate the process, taking a container, because we all live in urban spaces, we don't have ground to compost, and putting them together, introducing oxygen by turning the pile, and yes, that's where magic happens, because all the microorganisms start to break down the compost, and it's so exciting to see something that was in the form of peels and something that was waste that we would throw away turns into this beautiful black gold. A handful of this has more microorganisms than the number of people on this planet. So this is the living soil. This is the black gold. This is the one that needs to be fed to the soil to grow our food, and all of us can compost. It is so exciting to compost, and it is one of the best actions that we all can take every day, because when you look at the changes in the climate, we need to take action, and every day we can take an action by composting our kitchen waste, by keeping away that 60% of the waste that we generate and converting into this amazing soil to grow our food. Food can be grown in the smallest spaces that you have. You can grow herbs, you can grow your tomatoes, your chilies, you can start small. Again, everything as we learn, we do as we learn, and that's it. So choice is a very powerful tool, and all of us can make the choice to take a daily action to make sure that we leave a better planet for the future. There is a saying that we do not inherit this planet, but we borrow it from the future, and these future generations that are coming ahead of us need to have something worth living on this planet. And we can leave that better planet by taking complete responsibility of the waste that we generate, by recognizing it's a great resource, by putting organic matter back into soil, and looking at a sustainable way of living. It is putting less stress on the resources, and also you're regenerating soil. So that's a win-win all the way. Thank you.